Hey guys, what's up? It's just Connor here. Hope you have an amazing day as per usual. Now, in today's video, I want to talk about why building an SMA will probably make you broke, or you'll probably go broke building an SMA or a digital marketing agency. Now, some of you might be triggered hearing that. You might already run your own agency, you might be successful running your own agency, and you'll be going, that's misinformation, that's false. This video is talking from experience. It is an opinion, right? It is not fact. And if you're watching my videos, you're watching them most likely for my opinion and to take your own takeaways from them, right? But of course, these videos are just to give value where I can. So, I mean, this is really talking from experience when it comes to trying to start my own business over the past couple of years. And of course, successfully doing it, which I've talked about before, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it today as well, okay? So with that said, let's go ahead and dive in. So the first reason why you're probably going to go broke building an SMA or digital marketing agency or any other business that really requires capital and all of the other skills that you don't have is, number one, is fulfillment, right? Surprisingly enough, fulfillment is actually really difficult to provide a high level and a high degree of delivery that bring results to your clients and customers. It takes a lot of effort, right? And it's going to cost you team. It's going to cost you, you're not going to have high margins. You're going to have a lot of stress, especially because with agency owner clients, the grass isn't always greener. Yes, you have monthly recurring revenue. However, you have to be at the beck and call to all of your clients. Now, given this is not for every single agency, but for the large majority, I have many agency owners, within my network and people that I've met in the past and in programs that I've coached and trained for. And it genuinely does seem that most agency owners are at beck and call for their clients. Now, if you got started in the agency game many, many years ago, that may not be the case. I also do have friends that have their agency organized and they're really, really solid, but they've been in the game for years, right? Now, why is that important? Most of you, when starting your own agency, don't have years to build up to the result. You don't have years to keep spending on ads, keep doing this, keep doing that. And this is why a lot of people fail, is because they'll exhaust all their capital on the wrong things and exhaust all their time, basically time starvation, on the wrong activities in the business that actually move the needle forward. And if you can't fulfill, you're going to have to get someone to do that for you. And so get someone to do that for you, you have to pay them money, right? And so every new client that you get when you first start out is going to be a learning experience, right? And so fulfillment is quite difficult from my point of view. Now, like I mentioned before, I have friends that have media buying agencies that got started years ago, and they're very successful. They do very well for themselves, and it's a very leveraged business. But that was years ago. I'm talking about today. Times have changed, and the competition is increasing more and more by the day. Yes, we have access to the internet, and yes, it makes things much easier to do things now. We have much more accessibility, right? It's more easy than ever to be able to make money online. However, so few people actually are able to be successful at doing so. And I think this is obviously due to shiny object syndrome and a bunch of other things, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is fulfillment. And fulfillment is extremely difficult. So kind of coming back to that point, from my experience, I ran a short form agency. Started it back in technically October, but really it was November last year. And I invested in a course. I decided I wanted to create a short form content agency, right? Worst agency I could have ever started. The reason why is because it's creative work, and the results that you get for clients is all up to personal interpretation. So creative work is all based on the eye of the beholder, right? They get to judge and go, well, I don't like this, I don't like that. And honestly, it was one of the most frustrating processes, because I tried to help people as best as I possibly could, but the clients weren't communicating with me. There was many things that I learned from like setting standards and expectations with clients, how to onboard them correctly, all this type of stuff. A lot of these things that will take a lot of time for you to learn. So if you don't have time and you don't have a lot of expenses, which I did not, right? I almost went broke trying to build that business. I literally had 3 months left of savings left for my virtual assistants and the outreach team, which I'll talk about here in a second, my editors, all that type of stuff. I had 3 months left before I was completely broke, had to go back to my parents' place, and I would have been completely back at zero. Now, of course, I would have been fine because I would have just been able to sell myself back out of it and just get a sales role anyway. But that's not the point, right? Most of you can't do that. And so I see this all too often than not for context, I coached in a agency owners program that helped agency owners grow and scale their business through client acquisition, sales, team, the whole lot of it, right? And it was actually the program that I took to get me to 40K per month. But the thing that lacked with a lot of people, which is sales, I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But again, like building a team, building in a good offer, because you have no skills that you can provide. You have no skills that you can offer that are actually valuable to the marketplace. Skills that are, they're going to be things that you develop over time. It's not something that you just pick up overnight. You can't just watch a course and then go, oh, I can generate you leads now. I literally, with my friend Jordan that I'm living with in Vietnam, Da Nang right now, he comes out of his room, he's like, bro, check out this outbound message I got messaged by an agency owner. It was something crazy like, we guarantee you 40 clients in the next 30 days that will pay you $3,000. It's just fucking ridiculous. Like the market saturation is becoming very, very crazy. So you have to be very unique. You have to adapt, and your delivery needs to be not complex. So there's a whole bunch of moving pieces when it comes to delivery, but let's just leave it at that. Okay. Problem number 2, and why you'll probably go broke trying to build an SMA if you're a beginner, is all to do with client acquisition. Client acquisition seems to be more difficult than ever, right, at this point in time. The industry is extremely saturated, it's extremely competitive, and sure, that's the same with coaching business, that's the same with agencies, that's the same with e-commerce, right? You can still make money, but it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to do so. I've seen this firsthand, right? Client acquisition, even people in a program that I undertook, I only got 2 clients from the program, and that was because I was extremely good at sales. If I wasn't good at sales, I wouldn't have landed those 2 clients. I built the rest of my business to 40K monthly recurring revenue, practically 80 to 90% on my own terms. I built it through my network, my own strategy, my own skills, and on my sales acumen that I built over time. And I learned this stuff from, working with mentors and selling on different offers, which a lot of these skills, the people in the program just did not have, and that's why they couldn't even come anywhere close to the revenue that I built the business up to, right? And so client acquisition becomes more difficult the less skills you have, and it becomes more expensive. When I was first getting started out, especially, I paid $10,000 USD to be in this training program, right? Could not get any results. I followed it step by step. I did everything that I got asked, and it was the same for everybody inside of that training program. Can you imagine spending $10,000 USD on a training program and getting little to zero results? And you followed everything that the guru told you to do step by step. You, my friend, would be in a very shitty spot. And that's why I don't want that to be you, right? People will advertise that it's going to be unreasonable for you to succeed, right? Unreasonable for you to succeed is what I'm trying to say. But then they will overpromise and they'll underdeliver. This is what we see the vast majority of the coaching space do. They sell you the dream, they sell you this, you sell you that, right? It's going to be really difficult for you. Client acquisition is difficult, especially when you're starting out from scratch. Whether or not you're doing cold outbound, whether or not you're doing advertising, whether or not you're doing cold email, there are people out there that will be able to help you be more successful at that. But from my opinion and my perspective, I found that journey incredibly difficult. And in fact, I didn't really, sign or close any clients from the program I spent 10K US on for, with a recurring expense of $1,100 per month. My virtual assistants to reach out to these business owners that just was not working, right? But it was unreasonable to win, right? And so I had to make it work myself. Now, client acquisition as a whole, that also blends into sales, which we're going to be talking about here in a second. But whether it's VAs, cold email, cold outreach, the main thing is, sure, you might build some skills, but if you just stop running that business, you're left with nothing. You're left with completely nothing. That's the reason why I say high ticket sales all the time. It's just so good. Is because even if you just stick with it from right now to the end of next year, right? Let's say you do a year time frame. You now have built a skill that will serve you for the rest of your life. If you go completely broke, your house can be taken away from you, your assets, your bank accounts, anything. As long as you are in a speaking country that is native to your language, you will be able to sell your way out of it, right? Everybody's always hiring for salespeople. But the problem is with client acquisition, kind of rolling back to the piece here as I'm talking about, I can get a bit ranty, guys, so I apologize. But yeah, like it's just really difficult from fulfillment, client acquisition. But the final thing is obviously sales, right? Sales is the fundamental critical skill that you need in any service-based or coaching business, right? You will not scale without being good at sales, right? It's just brass tacks. The guru in the program that I was in is always like, oh, you have to hire a salesperson that's, when you're at less than 50K per month, to scale to 50, 100K per month. No, you don't, right? No, you don't, right? A beginner salesperson is not going to want to come work for you below 50K per month, at least bare minimum, right? An A player is not going to even want to touch you until you're at like 100K per month. You know the reason why? It's because, for me personally, my last offer was on October last year in 2022. I would not accept anybody that was not above 8 figures, right? That was my playing field. That was where I was at. I wouldn't even look at you if you weren't doing anything more than 8 figures, which is crazy, right? It might sound crazy to you, but it wasn't to me. I was thoroughly vetting opportunities that were going to make me the money that I wanted to make, because I knew I was going to make them millions of dollars, right? So, I digress. So when it comes to sales and learning that skill for your own marketing agency or any service-based business, this is not something you can hire out. This is not something you can outsource. You need to master this before you actually get to the level of desired income and revenue that you want to scale to. What I would see far too often is in these programs where I would coach for sales to hundreds of agency owners, hundreds of business owners, hundreds of coaches. What they try to do is they try to outsource and hire salespeople way too early in the business when they don't even know what they're talking about. And so even worse, they can't manage a sales team because they've never actually mastered the skill of sales. Now, you don't have to be the LeBron James of sales. You don't have to be a killer, but you have to be somewhat good. And most people aren't, because it's a skill that takes time and it takes grit. It takes work hours to build, right? Yep, so many people want all these shortcuts. And so I think this is why I resonate so much with what Alex and Mosey talks about all the time of people want all the shortcuts, right? They want all the shortcuts. They want everything fast, now. That's why nobody's successful. But with your own agency, your own business, you have to get good at sales. There is no way getting around it, right? A beginner salesperson will not last very long with you because they're not going to earn any money. They're not going to be any better than you because you are the founder and you're always going to sell better than any salesperson. That is a fact. That's not just an opinion. And, people try to hire A players way too early in the business, but you just simply can't, because all these gurus are saying, oh, hire a salesperson. Or these closer agencies are just like, oh, let's just place a closer in your business. It'll solve all your problems. Let's just place a setter in your business. It'll solve all your problems, man. That's just simply not how it works. I've been in, I don't know how many businesses I've coached, so many businesses, right? And it's the same recurring theme over and over again. The business owner never was a salesperson previously. They don't know how to manage a sales team. They don't know how to grow a sales team. They don't know how to build and hire. And they don't know how to train them, right? Sure, you can get people to come and train your salespeople, but if you're less than 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K per month, you will have to do the sales yourself up until that point. Everybody's scared of sales, right? That's the problem. And so if you're trying to start your own agency, you won't be able to hire a closer. You are going to have to do this yourself. You're going to have to master it. It's not somebody else's responsibility. And that is why I generally do believe that if you're trying to start your own marketing agency, an SMMA, a service-based business, without mastering these 3 things first, you're going to have a lot of trouble, right? You're going to have to pile a lot of capital expenses and time that you probably don't have into something that, if you don't make succeed, will result in a completely zero result or a net negative, right? You might go into debt. And this is the horror stories that, most people don't talk about. As in this program that I was in, right, there was many people that I talked to every single day, right? Guys who spent 10,000 USD in the program and they went completely broke. Completely broke. Like, we're talking guys from New Zealand, right? Really solid dudes that had to file for bankruptcy, right? They put all this money and going in debt into these programs, yet they can't actually do the stuff, right? And even just to finish on that point there, right, is that every single time, even if they got past the fulfillment and the client acquisition, they got calls in the calendar and they were okay on delivery, they could not sell. They couldn't sell, right? And this is why I encourage anybody, whether you're a beginner or whoever you are might be watching my videos, if you're looking at starting a business in the future, that's fine. You can do that. I'm not saying that you can't. But what I really recommend and really suggest to you, right, really encourage you to do so, is learn sales first. It's a skill that you can't hire out. It's a skill that you can't delegate. You have to master it yourself. You don't have to become the best, but you have to become somewhat good. Because this is the major pitfall that I saw with all these agency owners. I've coached hundreds of agency owners, hundreds of business owners in sales. And the one thing that causes all these businesses to fall, to crumble, to fail is because they suck at sales. That's it. They suck at sales. You can get a coach to help you with the marketing. You can get a coach to help you with fulfillment. You can get a coach to help you with client acquisition, right? But you can't get someone to step in and do sales for you. You have to do it, right? And that's why the agency owners or the coaches that have worked with me inside the RSA, they've gotten significant results in a very short amount of time, right? Because they accepted that responsibility and like, okay, I need to master this and not just delegate it, right? So, just kind of finishing that last bit there as well. I got one more thing to add. So, as I was mentioning, is that these agency owners, again, they struggle so much with sales, but they just didn't want to master it. Like, they just didn't want to keep going. They were just kind of half-assing it. They wouldn't even show up to coaching calls. They wouldn't do the work. And they're like, oh, I'm good enough at sales. They weren't. And that's why they always failed. They always went backwards. Because all the things you can solve technically with a coach or a proven system, but sales, you can't. You have to do that yourself. No one's going to sit there for you and take these sales calls for you. Okay? So, with that said, guys, that went way longer than I thought it would. But as you guys can imagine, I'm pretty passionate about this because I've experienced this. I've gone through this in the past year or so. And if you're a beginner looking to start your own business, I encourage you, learn sales first, right? It's what got me to build the RSA so quickly. It's what got me to build the marketing agency so quickly. It was just sales. It was literally that. But anyways, guys, I don't want to make this video too longer than it already is. It's almost about 18 minutes. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you got some insights and hopefully you learned something. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.